The planet Trelvok was quiet, as it usually was. Its sky had 2 suns, and the streets of the capital city Carillon were made of silver stone that glowed faintly at night. The people of Trelvok, called the Lorgan, were proud and intelligent. They believed they were the most advanced species in the galaxy. Their cities were clean, their machines were perfect, and their laws were strict. Everything worked with order. For many years, no one had dared to enter their space. The Lorgan had powerful sensors and strong weapons. Other alien species feared them or obeyed them. The Lorgan ruled several smaller planets, and they believed they had brought peace and order to the galaxy. They called it peace. Others sometimes called it control. That peace was broken one evening when a strange object was seen on the edge of their space. It was small and slow. The Lorgan scanners picked it up and sent the information to the High Council. At first, the leaders thought it was just space junk or a damaged probe. It did not look dangerous. It looked old and rusty, but it was not junk. The object entered their atmosphere and landed in a restricted area outside Carillon. The defense systems did not fire because the object used a strange kind of signal that confused the system. It was as if it knew the Lorgan's technology and avoided it on purpose. The Lorgan sent guards to the site. They were surprised to find a small ship with burn marks and a dented hull. The door opened slowly. A tall figure stepped out. He wore a brown suit and a helmet. The guards aimed their weapons, but the figure raised his hands calmly. "My name is Captain Ben Carter," he said in a clear voice. "I come from Earth. I come in peace." The guards had never heard of Earth. They had never heard of humans. They arrested Ben and took him to the capital. The High Council was already waiting. Ben was calm during the questioning. He answered every question with patience. He explained that Earth was far from Trelvok, in a different part of the galaxy. He said that humans had recently developed faster ships and wanted to explore. When the council asked why he had entered their space without permission, Ben replied simply, "We were curious." The council members looked at each other. To them, curiosity was no excuse. Trelvok's space was closed. No one entered without strict permission, but Ben showed no fear. One of the council members, an old Lorgan named Vero, asked, "Are there more of you coming?" Ben smiled slightly. "This was just the scouting team," he said. "More will come." The council laughed. They thought it was a joke. Earth sounded like a small backward planet. If this man was the best they had, then there was nothing to worry about. But hours after Ben's capture, strange things started to happen. The main defense AI system crashed. Communications with the outer satellites failed. One by one, their ships reported strange power issues. The Lorgan engineers tried to fix it, but nothing worked. The next morning, the sky over Carillon changed. Hundreds of small ships appeared. They came out of nowhere. The Lorgan sensors had not seen them coming. The ships were black and sleek. They moved like shadows. The panic started. Alarms rang across the capital. The council held an emergency meeting. The leader of the council, Melek, shouted orders. "Prepare the defense grid. Send a warning to all cities." But it was too late. The human ships did not attack. Instead, they floated above the cities and released small drones. These drones disabled power stations, stopped weapons, and hacked into city control systems. The Lorgan soldiers tried to fight back, but their weapons failed. The humans had planned this well. Inside his cell, Ben waited. A young Lorgan guard came to check on him. Her name was Elra. She had always been interested in alien cultures. She had read old books about humans, but most of them were myths. She was surprised to see that Ben was so calm. "Aren't you afraid?" she asked. "No," Ben said. "Because we didn't come to destroy, we came to help." Elra didn't believe him. "Help? This looks like an invasion." "It is," Ben said softly, "but not the kind you think. We know what your council has done. You call it peace. But we know about the forced labor, the punishments, the fear. We are not here to take control. We are here to give it back to your people." Elra didn't know what to say. She had always trusted her leaders. But now, with the lights flickering and the city in panic, doubt grew in her heart. That afternoon, a large satellite appeared above the capital. It began sending a message to every screen, every device. The message was in many languages, including the Lorgan language. It said, "We are not here to rule. We are here to remind you what freedom tastes like." People across the planet watched in silence. Some were angry, some were afraid, but many, especially the younger ones, felt something new, a strange sense of hope. In the council chambers, Melek shouted at his staff, "Shut that message down. Send our ships to attack." But the engineers looked at each other. "We can't," one of them said. "They've taken control of our systems." Melek slammed his fist on the table. "Then destroy their ship, the one that brought the human here. Let the people see we are still strong." But the ship, called the Horizon, was protected by a human field. No weapon could touch it. Back in her quarters, Elra couldn't sleep. She thought about Ben's words. She thought about the message from the satellite. She turned on her old computer and searched for files that were hidden by the government. She found stories from outer planets that were under Lorgan rule. The stories were not good. Forced labor, silenced voices, disappearances. The next morning, she returned to Ben's cell. "Why didn't your people destroy our cities?" she asked. "Because we know what power feels like," Ben said, "and we know what it's like to be powerless. That is why we came. To stop power from becoming cruelty." Elra stood silently. Then she whispered, "Maybe it's time someone did." And with that, the first seeds of change began to grow on Trelvok. What began as a quiet invasion would soon become something far greater. The Lorgan had seen ships. They had seen strange weapons, but they had never seen something more powerful than fear. Hope. The sky above Trelvok stayed dark for 3 days. The human ships did not move, but their presence was strong. People in the city stared at the sky, confused and afraid. Shops stayed closed. Schools were empty. The usual order of Trelvok had broken, and no one knew what to do next. In the capital, Carillon, the council still tried to act in control, but most of their systems were down. They could not contact their outer cities. Their defense network was silent. The more they tried to restart things, the more they failed. Human technology had taken control without firing a single shot. Inside her small room in the soldier barracks, Elra read more hidden reports from the planets ruled by the Lorgan. What she found made her sick. She had always believed her people were protectors, but the reports showed something different. Many planets had protested against the council. In response, the Lorgan had used force to silence them. Some cities had disappeared completely. She remembered Ben's words. She remembered the calm in his voice. He did not speak like an invader. He spoke like someone who had seen pain and wanted to stop it. Elra decided she needed to know more. She went to see Ben again. The guards didn't stop her. Most of them were confused too. The normal chain of command was broken. No one knew who was really in charge anymore. Ben sat on the bench in his cell, reading from a small human device. When he saw Elra, he smiled. "You came back. I have questions," she said. "Ask anything," he replied. "Why did you come here like this? You could have sent messages. You could have asked to visit." Ben nodded. "We did. More than once. Your council never replied. We sent peaceful ships with diplomats. None of them came back. So we tried something else. But this is still an invasion," she said. "Yes," he agreed, "but not to rule. We came to free those who can't speak. We learned your council hides the truth. We couldn't stay silent." Elra looked down. "I read some reports. They were terrible. I didn't know." "You weren't meant to know," Ben said gently, "but now you do." Above the city, the human fleet sent out small drones again. But this time, the drones did not disable anything. They dropped supplies. Food, water, and medicine landed in boxes. All over the city, on the boxes were messages in Lorgan for the people. From Earth, citizens came out slowly at first. They were cautious. But when they opened the boxes and saw the supplies, many of them cried. For the first time in years, the people felt seen. Some even waved up at the sky. In the council chamber, Melik watched the reports with anger. "They are trying to turn the people against us," he shouted. "They are poisoning them with kindness." One council member, a woman named Sarah, spoke quietly. "Maybe they are just helping." Melik turned to her with sharp eyes. "You sound like one of them." Sarah looked down and said nothing more. In secret, Elra began sending messages to people in other cities. She told them what she saw, what Ben had said, and how the humans had acted. Some believed her, some didn't, but her words spread quickly. One night, Ben was taken from his cell. A small group of human soldiers had landed and entered the prison without force. The Lorgan guards, confused and afraid, let them pass. The soldiers wore black suits that changed color with the surroundings. They looked like shadows. "Captain," one of them said, "we are here to extract you." "I'm not leaving," Ben replied. "Not yet." The soldier hesitated. "Earth's command said you can stay if you want, but we are nearby if you need us. Just leave some food and medicine for the others here," Ben said. "They need it more than I do." The soldiers left behind supplies, and then they vanished into the night. News spread fast. Videos of the humans handing out supplies were shared. Across the city, people saw Ben walking freely with Elra, talking to small groups, listening to their fears. Children followed them sometimes. They asked simple questions. "Are you going to hurt us?" Ben always shook his head and smiled. "No, we are here to help." Elra noticed how people looked at Ben with curiosity, not fear. Some even began to trust him. He didn't act like a conqueror. He helped fix machines. He sat with the sick. He answered every question with honesty. Back in the council chamber, Melik saw his power slipping. He ordered a secret team of loyal soldiers to stop the humans. But they failed. Their weapons didn't work. The humans didn't fight back. They simply walked past them. Commander Thalon, Elra's close friend, was sent to stop her. He met her at the city square, where she and Ben were talking to a group of students. Elra, Thalon said, "You have to stop this. You are helping the enemy." She looked at him. "They are not the enemy, Thalon. We were wrong. You believe everything they say." "No," she said. "I believe what I see. I see them helping. I see the truth in the people's eyes." Thalon looked at Ben, then at the students. He did not speak for a while. Then he said, "Be careful, Elra, the council is watching you." "Then let them watch," she replied. "Let them see what freedom looks like." Thalen walked away without another word. That evening, the satellite in the sky sent a new message. It showed pictures of humans and Lorgan working together. It showed Ben helping children. It showed Elra reading books with old women. And it ended with simple words, "We came to remind you. The future belongs to those who care." The city lights slowly turned back on, but this time, they did not shine only for the council. They shined for the people. Change had begun. The days passed, and the people of Trelvok slowly started to speak more freely. In parks and streets, in homes and markets, whispers turned into real conversations. Many people now questioned the council. Some had lived their whole lives in silence, afraid to even think against the leaders. Now they were hearing new words: freedom, choice. Truth.elra continued to work with Ben. Together, they visited schools and clinics. They helped fix broken machines and shared stories about Earth. Elra found herself smiling more often. She felt alive, like she was finally doing something that mattered. Ben remained calm and kind. He never shouted, he never forced. He simply listened and offered help where needed. The people respected him. Some even began calling him the Quiet Flame. In secret, Elra also kept sending messages to other cities. She shared videos and stories of human kindness. In some cities, small groups of young Lorgan began meeting quietly. They wanted to know the truth. They wanted change. One of the first to join the silent movement was a boy named Rel. He lived in a mining town far from Kirlan. When he saw the video of Ben carrying an injured child through the city, he cried. He told his parents, who were afraid at first, but when supplies started arriving in their town, food, water, and clean medicine, they began to believe. Rilan wrote a message and sent it to Elra through the human network. "We want to help. Tell us what to do." Elra showed the message to Ben. He read it, then looked out the window. "They are ready," he said. "Now it begins." Meanwhile, the council met in secret rooms. Melek paced the floor, shouting, "The people are turning, the cities are slipping from our hands." Sarah, the quiet council member, spoke. "Perhaps we should speak to the humans. Perhaps we should listen." "Never." Melek slammed his hand on the table. "They are invaders. We must crush them." But he had fewer supporters now. Many council members were silent. Some were already in contact with human leaders. Change was growing, even in the heart of power. That night, Ben and Elra stood on the roof of a tall building. The stars above Trelvok sparkled. The city below was peaceful. Drones flew quietly, delivering supplies. "Do you miss your home?" Elra asked. "Every day," Ben replied. "But Earth taught me something. You don't have to be home to help someone." Elra looked at him. "You speak with your heart. Not many do." "Humans learn the hard way," Ben said. "We hurt each other, we made mistakes, but we also learned to grow. And now, we want to help others grow too." Suddenly, Ben's small device beeped. He checked the message. "Something's wrong. One of our aid stations was attacked. We're at North Sector, near the old transport hub." They rushed to the scene. When they arrived, smoke was rising. Boxers were broken. Medical supplies lay scattered. A group of people stood nearby, looking scared. Ben walked toward them. "Is anyone hurt?" A woman stepped forward. "No, but soldiers came. They destroyed the drones and told us not to accept your help." Elra turned pale. "The council is getting desperate." Ben nodded. "We need to be careful now. They won't win with fear, but they will try." That night, Elra met Commander Thalen again. He had been watching her closely. She told him about the attack. "The council is losing control," she said. "People are ready to rise. We need your help." Thalen was quiet. He had served the Lorgan for years. He believed in duty. But now, his duty felt like a chain. "You trust them so easily," he said. "Not easily," Elra replied, "but truly." He looked at her, then at the stars. "I need time." "We don't have much time," she said. The next day, something unexpected happened. A group of Lorgan students marched through the streets of Carolan, holding small flags with human symbols. They chanted simple words: truth, freedom. Together, people came out to watch. Some clapped, some joined. It was the first public protest in Trelvo history. The council panicked. Melek ordered the guards to stop the march. But the guards hesitated. Many of them had received help from the humans. Some had family members saved by human doctors. Their hands stayed still. Ben and Elra arrived at the protest. Ben raised his hand and spoke softly. "We came not to fight, but to walk with you. This is your world. You must choose its future." The people cheered. Cameras recorded everything. The message spread to every corner of the planet. In one city, a group of teachers stopped following council orders. In another, workers opened the gates to human convoys. Across Trelvok, the people were waking up. That evening, Commander Thalen came to Elra's door. "I'm in," he said. "What do we do next?" Ben joined them, and together they planned the next step. They would speak directly to the council. Not with weapons, but with truth. "We don't need to break down the walls," Ben said. "We just need to open the windows." The next morning, Ben, Elra, and Thalon walked to the council building. Outside, a crowd had gathered. No one stopped them. They entered the grand hall. Council members stared as the three walked to the center. Ben spoke clearly. "We don't come with anger, we come with hope. Your people are ready for something better. Will you listen?" The room was silent. Then Ciro stood up. "I will," and slowly, others rose to. Hope had entered the Hall of Power. And the world of Trelvok would never be the same again. The council chamber was filled with silence. The air was thick with tension as Ben, Elra, and Thalon stood before the council. Some members looked confused, others angry, but many were just tired. Tired of fear, tired of lies. Ben spoke again. "The people are not your enemies, they are your strength. But they have been kept in the dark for too long. The truth is now in the open. You can't hide it anymore." Cira stepped forward. She looked at her fellow council members. "I believe we have lost our way. We called it peace, but it was control. We said we were protecting them, but we were only protecting ourselves." Melek stood quickly. "This is madness. You would listen to an invader. You would bow to a human." Phalon stepped forward. "He did not ask us to bow. He asked us to listen. I served this council for years. But now I see clearly. Our people are suffering, and they are finding hope from strangers. That should make us question everything." Melek's face turned red with anger. "You are a traitor." "No," Thalon said calmly. "I am loyal to the people, not to fear." The council was shaken. They had never seen such unity between a Lorgan soldier and a human. And outside the chamber, the people of Carillon were gathering. The crowd grew larger every hour. They held signs, they held hands, and most of all, they held hope. That evening, Melek called for a secret meeting with his closest loyal guards. "We must act now," he whispered. "They will destroy everything we built. We must strike." The plan was simple. Melek ordered a surprise attack on the human ships above the capital. He believed if the fleet was removed, the people would fall back. Into fear late that night, the old Lorgan defense ships launched. They rose into the sky with silent engines and aimed their weapons at the human fleet. But the humans were ready. Without firing a single deadly shot, the human ships used powerful electric pulses to disable the Lorgan attackers. One by one, the Lorgan ships lost power and floated helplessly in the air. Then the humans sent small rescue pods to bring the Lorgan pilots back safely to the ground. No lives were lost. The people of Trelvok watched everything from their homes and city squares. They saw the humans fight without hate. They saw the humans protect even those who tried to harm them. Elra stood with Ben as the news reached the council. "This is the moment," she said. "Now they will truly see." Melek was arrested by his own guards the next morning. He did not resist. His eyes were empty. Cira called for a public gathering in the Grand Plaza. For the first time in Trelvok history, the council would speak directly to the people. Thousands gathered. The sun shined brightly in the sky. Drones flew above, showing the event live across the planet. Sarah stepped forward. "We made many mistakes. We thought control meant safety. But we forgot the most important thing, freedom. Today, we begin again." Ben was invited to speak next. He stepped onto the stage and looked at the crowd. "We came from far away," he said. "Not to rule, not to steal, but to remind you. Your voice matters. Your choices matter, and your future is yours to build." The crowd clapped and cheered. Some cried, some smiled, and some simply stood in silence, feeling something new in their hearts. After the speech, the human fleet began helping the cities rebuild. Old machines were fixed. New schools were opened. The people of Trelvok started to lead again. With help from their new friends, Elra became one of the voices of the new council. She helped teach others about Earth, about truth, and about choice. Children now read stories of courage, not fear. They learned about kindness, not control. Ben stayed on track. He said Earth had other heroes, but this was now his mission. He worked with engineers, doctors, and teachers. He walked through the cities like a neighbor, not a leader. One day, while walking by the lake near the capital, Elra sat beside Ben. "Never gave up," she said. "Neither did you," Ben replied. "What comes next?" she asked. Ben looked at the sky. "A new chapter. One we will write together." And as the sun set behind the hills of Trelvok, the stars above seemed a little brighter. Not because of the machines or ships, but because of the hope growing in every heart below. The invasion was never about power. It was about memory, about reminding a world what it means to feel, to choose, and to believe. And now, that world was ready to rise. The days after the fall of the old council were quiet but full of work. The people of Trelvok were free now, but freedom was new to them. They had to learn how to speak, how to lead, and how to trust one another again. It was not easy, but they had help. Ben stayed in the capital, walking the streets with a simple bag on his shoulder. He did not live in a palace or command center. He lived in a small room near the market, close to the people. Every day he met with local leaders, workers, and students. He listened more than he spoke. Elra worked beside him. She had become a strong voice in the new leadership council. Many young Lorgan looked up to her. She taught them about truth, about asking questions, and about thinking for themselves. She said, "A real leader is not someone who gives orders. A real leader helps others find their voice." Thalin became the head of peacekeeping. His old soldiers now protected the people, not the council. He trained them in a new way to serve, not to control. He smiled more now. The heavy weight on his shoulders was finally gone. The human fleet stayed in the sky, but they were not seen as a threat anymore. They sent down tools, books, and builders. They helped repair bridges and schools. They shared farming tools and clean water systems. They asked for nothing in return. One morning, a group of children ran through the streets, holding small flags with both human and Lorgan colors. They laughed and sang songs. To them, this was normal. They didn't know the fear their parents, once lived in Veoli, knew the peace that had come after. A new school was opened near the capital lake. It was named the Horizon School, after Ben's ship. Children from all parts of Trelvok came to learn. Their first lesson they were taught was simple: every voice matters. Ben visited the school often. He sat with the children, told them stories of Earth, and listened to their dreams. Some wanted to be doctors. Some wanted to fly ships. One girl said she wanted to build a bridge from Trelvok to Earth so friends could visit each other without flying. "That will be a long bridge," Ben said with a laugh. "But I believe you can do it." The Horizon ship was no longer locked away. It was placed on a large field near the city, open for all to see. People visited it every day. It was now a symbol, not of fear, but of change. On a stone near its base were the words, "The ship that brought hope." A group of scientists from both worlds worked together to share ideas. They built new machines and studied the stars. They planned missions to other planets, not to conquer, but to connect. They called it the Unity Program. One evening, Ben and Elra stood by the lake, watching the stars. "Do you think the galaxy will accept this change?" Elra asked. "Some will," Ben said, "some won't, but change starts somewhere. And it started here. Are you going back to Earth?" Ben looked at the sky. "Maybe someday, but not yet. Trelvok still needs help, and I'm not done learning." Elra smiled, "Then stay help us build something new." Far away, on the edge of the planet, a small village threw a celebration. The people danced and ate together. They had fixed their water system with human help. A large sign above the village square read, "Thank you, Earth, we remember." In another city, a museum opened. It held old records from before the change, showing the history of control. But next to those were videos of the peaceful invasion, of Ben and Elra walking side by side, of humans helping strangers with no demand for power. The museum was called the Turning Point. One day, a message arrived from Earth. It came from the human leadership. "To the people of Trelvok, we are proud to see your new beginning. We did not come to rule. We came to share. Now, you are sharing with us. May your light guide others. Together, we grow. With respect, Earth Command." The message was read across the planet. People stood and clapped. Some cried. Some held hands. Others looked to the sky, thankful. Years later, the story of the first human invasion was taught in schools, but it was not called a war. It was called a gift. The gift of waking up, of remembering what it means to care. And every year, on the same day Ben first landed, the people of Trelvok celebrated. They called it Unity Day. Flags were raised, lights were lit, and a simple message was spoken across the world. We were not saved by weapons. We were saved by kindness. We were not invaded. We were reminded. And in the hearts of many, the memory stayed strong. One ship, one human, one voice that refused to stay silent. That was how a world changed, forever.